What is good, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Milwaukee Entertainment News. I am your host, DJ Bro. I am here with Benny Boswell. What is going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Getting ready for the snowfall coming?
Every time that they've been saying lately that there is snow coming, I don't believe them because it just gets wet and muddy and bullshit and just pisses me off.
At least it's not on a show night.
Right.
Those are the most annoying when all the weather forecasters come out there preaching doom and gloom, and we end up getting like 1 inch of snow and nobody shows up because they thought it was gonna be like 10 inches.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it with the winter stuff. I was hauling equipment in winter, of course, with my old man, but then of course with my other business I got nowadays, and no, I don't like doing winter stuff no more. No, spring, summer, fall. But so upon looking around on you, I see that you are in 10 feet tall, master of
Yep,
puppets,
yep,
the sociables, and
yep,
tribute to.
yeah.
Now,
Those are the active live performance bands. Yes.
okay, I know a lot of people are familiar with the sociables, master of puppets, and TFT, but what is tribute to?
Tribute to was it's me, Nick Smith, my bass player, 10 feet tall. Matt Ray, my singer, 10 feet tall. And Matty J, who's in a ton of stuff. And we got together a while back and we're like, we all had this love for like the grunge era. You know, we're all Gen Xers. And we decided to do a tribute to Red Hot Chili Peppers and Stone Temple Pilots. You know,
Right.
so we would do a show, one set of Chili Peppers, one set of Pilots, and instead of just playing the music, we would like dress up like how Chili Peppers would normally dress when they play live or from a specific video that was popular. And we did the same thing with STP. I basically, for me on drums, I created a drum set a lot like STPs with the rototoms and all that. So we wanted to play, you know, like how like a good tribute band is when you go see them. They look like the band, right? And none of us really actually look like any of the members of the band. So the best we could do is wear the clothes. So if you don't wear your glasses to the show, you know, you might be fooled. But it was more on the music and where you could close your eyes and go, I'm at a Chili Peppers show back in the day when they were playing clubs, you know, or an STP show back in the day when they're playing clubs because we're playing clubs, so we can't like reproduce their arena shows by any means. But it was supposed to be a one-off thing, you know, to just do it, have fun, and then call it a day. And we had to show at Q Club a number of years back, and the response was so incredible, with so many people there that we are like, that was kind of cool. Let's do another one.
Right.
So, but we wanted to change it up. So we started going, okay, we did the show as the Red Hot Temple Pilots, right? So matched with the two names, but then we're like, we should come up with a name because we don't want to do just the Chili Peppers and just STP. We were throwing, you know, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, you know, bands like that out, you know. Uh, so we would have a different mashup of two bands each time. Like I remember we did the Nirvana, Alice in Chains, oh, Nirvana and Chili Peppers at Saloon on Calhoun. And for the Nirvana set, we brought Matt on stage in a wheelchair wearing a hospital gown. He had a blonde wig on. And I had a dark, long black wig, like I was Dave Grohl, and brought him up on stage and smacked him around a little bit to get him out of his heroin stupor. And, you know, it was, we took ourselves very seriously of not taking ourselves seriously, you know, which is the same theme that 10 Feet Tall has. We want to have we want to do more than just play the songs. We want to have fun. We want to have fun with the crowd. We troll on ourselves. We joke with the crowd. You know, there's roasting going on. There's, you know, really bad dad jokes in between songs sometimes. But it's a fun time. We don't want to just be this boring band. Not saying that, not pointing any names at anyone, but just a stereotypical boring band that just here's song one. All right, that's done. Thank you for the clap. Here's song two. But still, at the same time, the music be kick ass, you know. And tribute to back to that one, we're everyone in that band has a real high bar for whatever project they're in, you know. Like with me, I wouldn't be in as many bands as I can be in if I couldn't, for myself, have my performance and my ability to be in the mix of the logistics of the band as much as I can be. Like if there was something that was a passing, just let me know when the show is and I'll show up. I'll have my stuff ready, blow through it, get my cash and leave. I wouldn't be in the band, you know.
Right.
I gotta be able to play with my heart, put my heart into it, and I surround myself like other musicians come up to me and they go, every band that they see me in, I'm just surrounded by amazing musicians. And it's like, yeah, there's a reason for that. You know, I always want to feel like I'm the weakest link of the band. So I always surround myself like I'm in a bunch of bands and every single bass player I'm in is like the who's who of the good, solid, great bass players in the area. You know, same thing with the guitarists and the singers. They're all, for what they do, they nail it, you know. So it really lets me have a great time on stage, whether there's 5 people in the crowd or 500 people in the crowd, because musically wise, I know we're bringing it every night. But with Tribute 2, it was going to be like a 1 or 2 shows a year. And then I started getting really busy with all my studio work I was doing, and a couple other original projects that are basically just record and license. We don't really perform out, just record, license, and you know you get the $10 here and there a month from that. But that and building out my studio at my house, and I was just like, I just don't have the time for it, you know. So a couple of other guys felt the same way. It was cool, it was great, but we stepped back from it. So coming up, it was we were officially done like last spring, right? And there was a show that's been in the works for like a year that finally got booked this fall, and we're all like, do we still want to do it? Like, yeah, we never really had a final show, so let's do it. So, not this Saturday, the following Saturday. I think that's what, the January 23rd, 19th. My phone's up by you, so I can't look at the calendar. Um, we're playing at Shank Hall with Super Unknown, which is doing a set of Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. We're doing a set of Chili Peppers and STP. My girlfriend has a dry erase board in my kitchen that has all my show dates
Uh,
and what times I need to be there. Because otherwise, just this is the slow time of the year. There in from Thanksgiving, just this past from Thanksgiving to the end of the year, I did 10 shows in 5 weeks, and that was in 4 different bands. So it gets busy. I have dates running around in my head left and right. I just know that I have a show coming up Saturday with 10 Feet Tall, and that's all. After I get past that show, I'll be okay. What's next? Okay, the Tribute 2 shows next, and then I got Master Puppets down in Illinois, and then they just start coming fast and furious come March.
what do you do for drums? Now, actually, I actually think you're the first full drummer that I've interviewed.
Well,
So,
I like to be complete. Sometimes I lose my marbles, so I'm not full during those periods of time. But
what do you think of um, the differences, the pros and cons between an electric set and the standard acoustic sets?
what's really curious about it is in 10 Feet Tall, I run a hybrid kit. So I have electronics incorporated with my acoustics. Um, as of right now, with the technology of electronics, I can still tell the difference from 40 plus years of playing drums, the difference between the the physical feedback from hitting an acoustic drum versus the physical feedback from hitting an electric drum. Whether it's the feel, the sound coming off the drum, whatever is causing it, it's hard to pinpoint, but it feels like say like you can go to somebody's house and they have the Mona Lisa in their living room, right? It's a print.
Right.
It's a dead on print, but it's not the Mona Lisa. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can tell. You can see the brushstrokes in the paint of the prints, but if you see the Mona Lisa, you actually see the three-dimensional relief of the brushstrokes. It's just so much clearer and so much realer. Electronic drums have their place. That's why I use them. But like say for example, temp guitar, I run a hybrid kit because I'm doing samples like hand claps and um, like we do living colors, cult of personality, the spoken word stuff. I'll trigger that. Um, Black Sabbath, I triggered the siren in War Pigs. That type of stuff, right?
Right.
Bass shots, things like that, that you can't do acoustically. I'll trigger those. But I would never use an electronic kit in Master of Puppets. I would have my full blown acoustic kit with double bass drums and all the big cymbals and it it's not even more of like a feeling authentic thing. It's just more of it just feels right and it makes me play that way. I always I I don't know if you ever see me play live, but I'm a heavy hitter. I'm a hard hitter. And whenever I play an electronic kit, I'm so scared that I'm gonna break the piss out of it, right? Just
Right.
playing a regular backbeat. So then I hold back. And the moment when you're somebody like me who plays with 95% emotion when he plays the drums, because the drums, out of all the instruments, I swear all my guitarist friends are probably going to pick on me for this, but out of all the instruments, vocals are the only one that comes close to this, and it's still not quite there. Playing the drums can, if you allow it to be, such an emotional connection to the drummer, what he's playing, you know? And I feel like all my favorite drummers that I'm really impressed with, and I've followed my whole life from John Bonham all the way up to Danny Carey, when you watch them play, you can tell that they're sad or happy or angry or, whatever state of mind that they're in because it's coming out in how they're playing. you know Even if the song is supposed to be a happy song,
Right.
and when they originally recorded the drums they were in a good mood and happy, you watch them live and you're like, dude is hitting those drums like he's pissed off.
Right.
They could have had a fight backstage or whatever. It is so hard to hide your emotions when you're playing the drums, and I don't think you should have to. There's a lot of drummers out there that can be having the worst day in their life. They get on stage and it's all rainbows and flowers, and that's them. That's fine. It's not me. I can't do that. I can play with dynamics. I can play with finesse, but it's all in the context of the emotion that song makes me feel, right? So, like, if I'm playing a sad piece, I can have dynamics all the way to the point where the front of house guy is quickly going through and turning off sound gates because my drums aren't even getting picked up in the mics anymore because they're getting blocked, to the point where to where my dynamics will swing to the point where he's pulling the faders back because I'm hitting so hard. And I joke, all the good sound guys in town, they know me and they prepare for it, but it's I could tell when there's a guy like Master Puppets deals with a lot of sound guys that never seen us when we're traveling in Illinois and stuff like that, and they get it after a song or two, that I have those kind of dynamics. Um, it's a part of who I am, and part of how I play. I can't just robot out. And to get back to the original question, when I play on a full electronic kit, and I've had some nice electronic kits, I've had the full Roland V custom with the TD50, 7 grand down, on electronic kit. I feel like a robot when I'm playing it. I got to take all my emotion away and just physically play. And what's really funny is when I listen to a drummer that plays a full electronic kit in a hard rock or metal band, it sounds like it has no life. There's the way it comes through the PA. I know that I could tell the difference. It's almost like if you go to like a live concert, and I was actually just at one at Five Serve a couple months back, where they piped for the opening act, they piped everything in. The only thing that was live was the lead vocal mic and the lead guitarist. Everything else was piped in. The bass, the background vocals,
Damn.
all of the drums were piped in. I'm watching the drummer as a drummer, and I'm like elbowing my girlfriend. I'm like, because she asked me how I was sounding, and I told her, and she's like, "Well, how do you know?" And I was like, "Okay, listen to the snare drum right now." She knows enough where if I say snare drum, she knows what I'm talking about. I'm like, "It sounds like a snare drum, right?" She's like, "Yeah, watch him. He's playing the snare drum, right?" She's like, "Yeah." And I already knew because I've gone through a verse and a chorus of the song that they're on. I was like, "Listen when they get to the verse. He's gonna still be playing the snare drum like he's hitting a snare drum, and it's gonna turn into a tambourine." And as soon as the verse comes back in, he's hitting, cracking on the snare, and now it's a tambourine. Like everything was piped in. And I was like, every once in a while, he forgets when he hit a crash cymbal because you're hearing these crash cymbals all coming through nice and clean. Then every once in a while, he hit a crash cymbal, and all you can do is hear it from the stage. It's not coming through the PA. It. That's what electronic kits sound like to me as a listener. Like you're miming the drum part and it's getting piped in off of a MP3 player. You know, the guys that do it, I would never go up to them because I don't feel this way and go, "You're being fake or trash" or anything like that. Is because there's a lot of people out there that they get from the sound guys to the bar owners to their bandmates basically like, "You're too loud, we're too loud for the venue, blah blah blah, all this other crap. And that was their solution. You know what I mean? It is a solution. I have had probably almost every single venue in this town tell me I hit way too damn loud. All of my bandmates have told me, "Fuck them. We don't want you to not be you." Right?
Yeah, that
So
was the
what I did is I've spent thousands of dollars on sound shield reinforcements for my drum kits. And I'm not talking like the big, huge screens, that encapsulate the drum set. I get the company called Smoke and Aces. A lot of the pros use them, and you put them just in front of the offenders, the big, heavy rock crash cymbals and all that stuff. And I learned just within the last year. This is something that's really weird. A lot of people don't take this into consideration. Even though I've been playing for over 40 years, I've never stopped learning about my instrument. I've never had a closed mind and go, I've been playing for so many decades, I know everything. Fuck off. You know, like I had to get two guitars I was in a band with arguing about picking technique. And he's like, "I've been playing for so long, don't tell me how to pick." And he's like, "Yeah, but if you do this during this section, they just wouldn't have it." There was somebody who was open minded, somebody who was closed minded on it. And with me, I went through 40 some years of being told if I'm a heavy hitter and I'm playing hard rock and metal music, I should be using rock crashes. Not the case. And so in the past year, I have had to shell out the cymbal set that I use for 10 feet tall is $4,500 worth of cymbals. And they're all top end, Mino, Byzance, thin to medium thin signature crash cymbals to where when I hit that fucker as hard as I can, you can barely hear it because it has very little body and projection, right? So it's not this big clanging, make your teeth rattle crash cymbal, right? It sounds like what you would hear a crash cymbal on a record. you know, little wispy, but still a crash cymbal, right? It still has some body to it, but the decibel level is like 30 dB quieter than your standard crash cymbal, you know? And I started using those with the Smoking Aces shields. Every sound guy's come up to me like, dude, we love you so much. You're so easy to mix now. And so now I don't have to hit my toms like I want to hit them with a lot of aggression and power and then puss out on the cymbals. I can hit everything the way I want to hit them and go, and the sound guys are not having an issue anymore. But that's what I mean. I've spent just on that one drum set about 6 grand on one drum set. And I have 7 drum sets that I use for playing out.
7.
And yeah, and a lot of guys, it's cheaper just to buy an electronic kit. I think really it comes down to preference. They might be practicing in a house with other people living in an apartment. That's fine. I live out in the country. I have my own house. I can have acoustic drums to practice whenever I want. So when I actually bought my house, I sold my electronic kit and used the money to help me with my down payment because I still ended up getting like 6 grand for my kit because the resale value of them are really good. But electronic kits, they're for the right people, not for me.
What was the first kit you ever had? How old were
Oh,
you?
I got my first kit when I was 5 years old. Um, my dad's drummer bought it for me, I think for a birthday present or just as a gift in general. It was a four-piece set of, it was like a late 50s Ludwig rocker. Yeah, that was my first real drum set. The drum set I had before that was, remember in Led Zeppelin, Song Remains the Same, when they showed Jason Bonham as a little kid playing that miniature scale drum set? I had the Remo version of that when I was like 2, 3 years old, right? The bass drum for that drum set became my 10-inch tom on that four-piece kit. So I had this red tom, right? And then a Blue Onx Ludwig 12-inch next to it. And then it was a 14-inch floor drum, 20-inch bass drum, and an old Ludwig Superphonic snare drum that I sold for $50 for weed when I was 12 years old. And I I kick myself every time I remember that snare drum is probably worth $2,000 or $3,000 right now. It was an
Damn.
actual vintage early '70s Superphonic snare, and
Damn.
I hate myself for that. But yeah, that was my first drum kit. The first drum set I ever bought with my own cash was in high school. I bought a Tama Art Star 2, uh, 88, 89, around there. I bought it in 91. So it was a few years old. I bought it from the old Music Corner in Waukesha, where White House Music was, and it became Music Corner when White House Music moved out to Moreland. And it had my introduction to rototoms. It had a 10, 12, and 14-inch rototom, a 16-inch floor drum, the most kick-ass sounding 22-inch bass drum I've ever owned in my life, and a 14-inch wooden snare that I had never seen before. It was made by Premier. It had two shells and heavy-duty die-cast rims on it, and Music Around sold it to me for $375, the whole kit. And I still own the snare drum to this day. I found out from Premiere it was a prototype, the version I had. So I put that in the case and I don't use it anymore. And then I went out and took me years, but I found another Premiere Project One from the actual run of them that they had for a couple years. It's identical to mine, except for it has the inner shell. Mine did not have the inner shell. And the only time I ever break out that old Premiere is when I'm doing session work and recording. I'll bring it out and, for special occasions, not just any session recording, but I'll bring it out for recording because it's still to this day the most amazing sounding snare drum I've ever recorded. And Premiere asked me a lot of questions about how I got it, how it got out of their factory.
That's funny as
uh,
a
uh,
bitch.
and then I sold the Art Star 2s, which is basically just the bass drum and the floor drum. I kept the rototoms because I had bandmates of mine not thinking the look was cool. So basically, I was doing the front rototoms, bass drum, floor, and snare, like Kretz does in STP before STP. So it was like, it's not like he saw me play, like, oh, that's a great idea. It was just, it's one of those, serendipitous, great minds sort of thing. I like to believe. But
Nah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't believe in the coincidences. That's fucking crazy. Nope, nope. He was on vacation or a business trip for his main job out here, and somebody dragged him to a show and saw you and went, "Whoa."
it, I
No, just
I did
kidding.
meet him once, but well after that.
Did
But
you ask him?
no, no.
Why not?
I, and actually I didn't even think about it when I was talking to him. It was God.
That would have been my
I was
first
at
question.
I was at a show. My sister and a mutual friend took us to an SCP show. I was basically the DD, and they paid for me to get in. They went to the show, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen STP live sober. The first time I ever saw him, I was on so much shit I can barely remember the show. All I remember is that they played. They were opening up for Ministry and Helmet at the Riverside. STP was the first one to play, and then it was Helmet and then Ministry, or Ministry and Helmet. And I think it was the last time there was a metal band at Riverside for a very long time. Because we get there, we get it. We're sitting up in the upper balcony, and we look down on the lower, and we're like, "Why are there seats inside of here?" It was the first time I'd ever been in Riverside. It was one of the first times I'd ever come into Milwaukee, right? Because I'm not from Milwaukee. First time I ever come to town, go to Riverside. There's chairs everywhere down there, and I'm like, "That's not good planning." The show starts. STP sounded like complete shit, sound wise, just horrible. Ministry was freaking loud. Helmet was freaking loud. And I'm seeing people in the darkness from the balcony moshing, right?
And you're like,
And
how?
I was like, how is this happening? Are they like moshing in their rows or something? And then the lights come on, and there's piles of chairs up against the wall. They had tore all the chairs out so they could mosh.
Wow.
But the first time I saw STP
Damn.
sober, my sister and our mutual friend got backstage. I didn't. I was kind of annoyed. It had been a long night. So I went out to the car in the parking structure and took a freaking nap and waited for them to get done. And they came back, and my sister was like, "Yeah, I told Eric that he sucks and you're a better drummer than him." And I'm like, "Why? He is like one of my top five idols, you know?" And I met him like a decade later, and just basically, hi, respect, you know, looked like he had a great night. He sounded awesome, you know. I
I'm
it's
that one
I
chick's boyfriend.
Yeah. Well,
Brother,
brother,
brother.
and it's I don't know. It's not because I see myself as some famous musician and people are always coming up to me and talking to me, because I really do appreciate every single person that comes up to me and tells me what that night meant to them, or if they had fun, or all the other stuff. Um, it's just I don't. It's not that I don't feel comfortable. I'm not like, I don't want to hear you. Leave me alone. It's just mild social anxiety. It's probably why I could never be a lead singer or Even though I could play guitar, I could never be in the front of the stage playing guitar. It's like, fuck it, put me on the drums and back in the shadows, no
I
lights
don't
on
gotta look
us.
at people.
The I could look at you, and the thing is, with the lights on stage, I don't know if you ever been on stage during a show. You can't see more than 3 feet off the freaking stage. It's just black after that because all the lights in your face. So everyone's like, "How do you play in front of so many people at a big show?" Like, it's easy. I can't see them. You know, I grew up. the I'm what you call a low rider. So my drum throne's as low as it will go, and I sit really low. For 6'3", I sit down really low. And when I was growing up, I used to have my toms up really high and my cymbals all in front of me. So I was like, it was my wall of privacy. Kind of like Nico. I had all this stuff from me. You couldn't see him, right? And as I got older and as I got more comfortable in myself and with what I was doing and almost getting the old man, I don't give a shit mentality anymore. That's when my drums started coming down a little bit. My cymbals started separating so I could see the crowd and they could see me. And I started doing more stick
Yeah,
tricks and
do
stuff
something to
like
get them
that. But
looking at you.
yeah,
Yeah,
when growing up, I was kind of like, they can hear me, they don't need to see me. So I'd have people coming up to me and saying this and saying that, and I'd have to keep my inner smart ass at check, you know, because like people will come up to me and say, "You're this or you're that," or "You nailed it" or whatever, and my inner brain is like, "Say thank you, Ben. Say thank you." And my inner brain's like, "No, I want to say, well, I've been playing for 40 years. I hope I figured this out by now." Like that inner smart ass, right? And of course, that's gone away as I've gotten older because people just see me as being old and figure I should know what I'm doing by now anyway.
no, see,
But
now you have the excuse.
yeah,
You could just be a cranky old fuck, and just and that could be your shtick. Is that you're the disrespectful old fuck?
nah, nah, that wouldn't fly. Too many people out there know me too well. It's I'm all love, all love. It's I really appreciate because I beat myself up at a show. I'll sit there, I'll get done. I don't let it to try to affect my show, but it has in the past where I'm just really not feeling it. Either I've had to set my drums up weird to get on the stage right, or I just got a physical ailment like a bad elbow or a shoulder. Something's making it to where I'm not feeling completely there in the moment. And you start fucking up. You have this little mistake here, that little mistake there. You forget the chorus. You go into the lead solo one too soon. You know, but then people come up to me and go, "You guys were amazing. You guys were awesome." And I honestly thank them because if if they're just saying they know I screwed up all the times that are in my head, I knew I screwed up, and they just want to make sure that they knew they still appreciated the show, then I need to make sure that they know I appreciate them for that. You know what I mean? But then there's other times where I know that there's no way in hell. Like I had one guy at a Sociables gig come up to me and told me like, "Dude, what I love about the Sociables? They play everything like note for note, like to the T." And me and my guitarist sat there, and it was an old friend of ours. He's been coming out to the band for like 20 years. We started laughing. He's like, "What show are you going to?" Like we're Sociables is basically a classic rock band that plays like 60% Southern stuff, like the Skinner, Hatchet, Marshall Tucker, that type of stuff. We also do a lot of British stuff and other classical rock and some new stuff actually too. But we're also a jam band at heart. Like there's one song that we do by Marshall Tucker, and Marshall Tucker loves our version of it. We opened up for it once, and they loved it. We didn't want to play it. The crowd kept on telling us to play it, and then Marshall Tucker's like, "Yeah, play the damn song." So we're like, "All right, we'll play your song as we're opening up for you guys." And the original song on the album is like 6.5, 7 minutes long. Our version of it's nearly 20 minutes. So when people say we play stuff note for note, we laugh, you know. or I'll be like, they'll say like we play Dreams by Molly Hatchet, perfectly, and I'll have to remind them there's no double bass in any Molly Hatchet songs. I'm playing like Mike Portney style quad fills and things like that in sections and some Bonham triplet flurries and things like that during the song, not in the Molly Hatchet version, you know. But what I think they're saying is they know how we play it better than what the original was because they've heard us play it so much, and we nailed how we play it, you know. And that's cool too, to be able to take songs and make them so much your own, they're almost like originals. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know.
I
I
gotta
don't know.
pause for a
It's
second. Was that a roach clip that you've been passing back, throwing around
no, it's a
the
cigarette.
the other one,
Cigarette.
the other one?
Cigarette.
Nah, I
What,
don't.
this thing?
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's
No, it's
Alan.
it's an Allen key. It's my fidget toy on my
I
table here.
I thought you had a cigarette in one hand and a roach clip in the other, and I'm all like the Big Lebowski. I'm interviewing the Big
No,
Lebowski.
no, I have ADD so bad. I have fidget toys all around the house. Um, it it's probably why I'm in so many bands. Is because if I was in one band, I get sick of it and quit after 2 years.
You have 7 sets. Okay, like of course. Um,
I
what
could start a music store.
what is your favorite genre of music to play?
Metal, metal.
Okay, what
Because
kind of metal? Because that's a big spectrum. There's like everything from where the band's name looks like the cracks in the leather couch, or there's the metal
oh,
like
the
Judas Priest and shit.
the pile the pile of sticks. Never really, not too many of those bands I was a fan of.
A
I
pile of
actually cre-
sticks.
I actually created a meme. I got a pile of sticks off of Google Images, and I took like there was my original band, American Zeros, back in the day before we broke up. We did a show at the Metal Grill, and we had a bunch of these metal, you know, millennial metal bands opening up for us. And people were asking me who's playing with us, and I'm like, I have no idea. I just saw the flyer. And you're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, I can't read a damn name off that flyer. I don't know what it is. So I created this mock metal flyer. I took those bands' names, put them on a poster, and I cut out the image of the pile of sticks and put those as another band name. And it looked just like the other band names. It's I'm a I'm a firm believer of marketing, and I don't know how those people can. They're obviously not getting any memorabilia off of their logo. You know, I'm a Gen Xer, so I think of logos like Rush's logo, Motley Crue's logo,
You see it,
all
you
those
know it.
Van Halen, the VH Van Halen,
Yep.
the Foo Fighters with the two Fs, all these bands have memorable logos and they had branding, they had a brand image, and that form of modern thrash, grindcore, death metal, it I'll listen to it, but I have no idea who I'm listening to because there's nothing memorable about it. I'm basically listening to the drummer going, "Yeah, I could never do that," or I could do that for 3 minutes, but I'm not doing it for a 40-minute show. That's not happening. Even when I was young, it ain't happening. But I guess when it comes to my favorite music to play, it would be genre-wise. I call it power groove metal. So your Panteras, Helmets,
Power groove.
band bands like that, where you have it's regular metal like say like Megadeth and other bands from the 80s. You were say like you're in a go-kart, right? On a go-kart track, and that type of metal, it's all gas. You're never hitting the brake. You're drifting in the turns on stuff, which is fun and exhilarating, right? But with power metal, it's all gas. It's what brake. You just go. You know, even when you're in a quiet spot, you're hitting it with authority. It's just less notes. You get quieter by playing less notes, and that's power groove. And not so much worried about the eighth note. You're swinging it. Think of Vinnie Paul. That is the stereotypical power groove metal drummer. You know, um, there's power metal and there's power groove metal. You know, Power metal I look at as being, which is still cool. I love power metal, which is very on the beat, eighth notes, very straightforward, very white, just go go go. And then power groove metal, it gets that stank on it, you know,
That
you know
stank.
that little bit of a swing to it that just really makes it hit even harder. You know, I like it to because I when I was younger I used to mosh all the time, and like with power metal, you're just in the pit going nuts. You're just going at it, right? And with power groove metal, you see your target and you're going nuts. And right before you hit them, you slow down and then just right with the beat, bam, then you hit them. You try to be with the beat when you're busting someone in the jaw. But yeah, it's that's by far my favorite genre. The second closest favorite genre for me is more of the psychedelic side of it. So like Pink Floyd, King Crimson, you know, kind of that prog psychedelic music. Because then I can really get into letting my brain and my emotions connect and not worry about where's the one, two, three, four, but still yet keep the beat at the same time. You know, Mick Mason's an amazing drummer from Pink Floyd, one of my favorite drummers. There was, have you ever seen their movie, uh, uh, live in concert from Pompeii
Uh,
that they did,
no.
where they basically played the album Metal in its entirety from straight to finish from a coliseum at Pompeii, where they set up their whole thing in a whole live recording studio. And I've had this argument with people a number of times. I swear the actual recording from metal, for metal that you get on the CD and listen to came from that performance, and not in front of people, just their crew and band members and stuff like that. It was probably only like 20 people outside the band at the Coliseum that they were playing at. And the reason why I say that is because there's this one part of this one song, and it's I want to say it's Careful with That Axe, Eugene. Nick Mason's, the whole song is this very breaking the girl Tom thing, you know. Chili Peppers breaking the girl for like 5 minutes. He's just doing this Tom fill over and over again, right? He changes the crescendo on it every once in a while. Um, does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's still basically the same pattern over and over and over again. And like 4 minutes into it, you're listening to the CD, and 4 minutes in it, the pattern breaks. So instead of going digga 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 digga, it goes and it goes back, right? And it's really cool. It's like, whoa, he changed the pattern like out of nowhere and then went back to the same pattern. You watch Live from Pompeii, at that part of the song, Nick Mason drops a stick. And he's only got one hand on a stick, and he grabs another stick and then finishes the fill and then goes back to it. And at least for that song, the recording that's on Metals, their live performance in the Coliseum. I want to say it's for all the bed tracks for the whole album were done there, but I haven't been able to find any literature on the fact that they did it outside of the studio they did the final mixing at and the final recording at. But live from Pompeii itself, if even if you're not like a huge Pink Floyd fan, it's an interesting watch after you've taken a couple gummies. If you're into that sort of thing, take a gummy, shut off the lights, turn on Live from Pompeii, and just let it run. You'll thank me. It's all the stuff you hear in a lot of the Pink Floyd songs, that all that little background noise stuff, like them eating breakfast and say, I don't
Right.
know, I was awfully drunk at the time, all came from that movie, from Live from Pompeii. B-roll of them sitting there eating breakfast at the studio with each other and talking shit and about what
Damn.
they did the night before. And then there's a section in it where it shows them in the studio, and it shows Roger Waters recording the synth part in Breathe on Dark Side of the Moon, where it goes that real trippy part. It shows him live doing that, like, and then they edit it down to be the final recording. But actually, physically watching the performer in the moment, spaced out of his gourd with pupils the size of black holes,
Just
recording a part that I've heard so many times, and now I can actually, when I listen to that song, I can actually visualize Waters standing up by the Moog, twisting the knobs and making the sounds happen. They have recording of Gilmore playing the solo in Us and Them in there, and they're looping the solo section. He does it the first time, like, oh, Dave, you're so close. Then he goes around the second time, it's even closer. Then he goes around the third time, and yep, that was the take on recording. Did it in 3 takes, done. You know, it stuff like that about music is fun. And it helps keep playing music fun. You know, it's kind of like if I was like an artist, I would be going to art galleries all the time. For inspiration, for challenge. What else can I do? What's another medium I can use? And like for me as a drummer, I like being able to be in a band like the Sociables playing Molly Hatchet and then play a drum pattern from Pantera Vulgar Display of Power over a Southern rock tune, you know, and it fits, you know, and the guys in the band dig it, the the fans dig it, or if I'm in 10 Feet Tall and we're doing a dance rock number, like from uh, the Killers or somebody like
I
that.
was gonna say you take some like pop hits like some Nelly, some Ludacris, some 50 Cent or something and turn it into like a southern swangy way.
Yeah, but that's expected. What like
Nah, I wouldn't expect that
there's
from a
this.
local band.
Well, if you come to Tempe Tall shows, you would probably expect. We do a lot of shit like that all the time. Like we took "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" and turned it into a hard rock song. You know, and we'll be playing that song this Saturday at Paulie's. We'll take songs that were hinting towards being a rock song and go, fuck it, rip the band-aid off. It is now a rock song. It's going to be a rock tune now, or a song that was rock but borderline metally, like the guitar licks kind of metally at times. We'll turn it into a metal song. We're like we do a Maroon 5 tune, "Harder to Breathe," but we do it almost like if Rage Against the Machine played it musically. You know, and I get that it's lost on some people. You know, there's probably a lot of fans of like Maroon 5 that would see us at like a fair or a festival and go, "Ah, they ruined that song." You know, but we're playing the Gen Xers basically. We're playing to people between 35 and 50. That's the people that are going to get it. What we're doing and have fun with what we're doing. You know, um, there's 20-year-olds that have fun with it and get it, but they're not following us around southeastern Wisconsin. It's going to be the Gen Xers that follow us and really appreciate our zaniness on what we do. It's the same thing like with the Master of Puppets stuff. We don't we we consciously made the decision to not play anything after the Black Album. And of the Black Album, the only thing we really do is Through the Never. That's it.
Why?
Everything else we do is the first four albums.
Why?
Because every single Metallica tribute band in this world plays everything from Black Album on, and then maybe does Seek and Destroy and Ride the Lightning. You know, we the songs that we play and the way we play them, I know with me personally, how I think about it is if Metallica walked into the venue that we were playing at, they would hear us playing their tune from like off of Ride the Lightning and go, God, I remember when we used to be able to play that like that, where they just physically can't fucking do it anymore. We go so hard at these songs where I've seen, we did a show in Illinois a number of years ago, and in the crowd were, there might have been more, but I saw at least members of two different Metallica tribute bands in the front row banging their hand on the stage with the song. At the end of the night, a complete sweaty fucking mess. The whole crowd was nothing but a sweaty mess because we don't take a tune off. It's we'll open up a song with frickin' Blackened and finish with Disposable Heroes, or Damage Inc. It's nothing but kill the drummer for 2 hours of just go, go, go. We want people to be able to come to our show and feel like they're at a venue in
Are you
1986
live?
watching Metallica. What?
Are you live?
Live what?
I just saw a little like thumb show up on the screen with you.
No,
You didn't see it?
no, not on my end. I just, I just called you from Skype. Yeah, no, I've just called you. I might have had a notification come through on my phone.
I know I'm not
I,
crazy. I
yeah,
know
I
that
don't think you would
happened.
see those.
I'm gonna send you a little video of a little boink. Just
Uh, yeah, no, not me,
oh
not
man.
me. According to this, it's just me and you on the call.
I wonder if it'll. I wonder if it shows up in here. So like, yeah, you'll see it on the interview. Just this little. It's like that. It's like that reel or meme, whatever that goes around and about you're using your phone as a mirror to shave your balls, and all of a sudden you start seeing likes and hearts fly up, like you're on live. Like, oh no.
Oh,
So once
never
that,
doing that again now, thanks. It,
yeah,
I mean,
it'll freak you out a little bit.
yeah, yeah. No, I didn't see it. No,
But yeah,
I just get like I'll see like notifications that I got something. I was tagged in something on Facebook or whatever. Little banner pop-ups that pop up. That's about it. But don't know. Um,
fuck. I really hope that was there. Otherwise, I ain't never getting this shit again.
stick to the gummies, man. I don't know. You thought my Allen key was a roach earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
I got so many trip toys in front of me. I have my Allen key. I got my little handcuff thing right here. I got a bolt with a washer on it. Having ADD sucks, man. I'm telling you. To keep me in front of this camera and not running around. I have to have my trip toys in front of me. But
uh,
I've never owned a fidget spinner. Fuck those things. I wouldn't leave the house. If I had a
okay, so
if I had a fidget spinner, I'd lose my.
if it wasn't called a fidget spinner, and say it was actually like a tool for something,
Trying to figure out any other use I would have for that damn toy of the devil. I'm telling you, if I owned a fidget spinner, I'd lose my job. I'd just be sitting here all day going. And I've seen some cool ones. I've seen some. As soon as you start spinning them, they light up. And no, I don't know, man. Those things are dangerous.
I'm gonna say so.
They're dangerous.
I'm gonna say so. That's why you don't like them. It's not that they're not fun. It's that oh no, they're too fun.
there, there's certain type of personalities. Like I don't think drugs are bad, but there are certain people that shouldn't do drugs. You know, it's that mindset. You know, like cars are not evil, but certain people should not be allowed to own one. You know,
Right.
kids are amazing. Some people shouldn't have them. You know, fidget spinners, they might be cool. Some people shouldn't own one. You know, it's all I gotta say, man. That's my stance on the fidget spinner bullet.
You're
You
gonna.
know,
I'm about
it's
to say you're gonna find a way to make that fidget spinner go so fast it's gonna fly off and hit somebody. Yeah.
that's a fear. That's a genuine fear.
When I was in
What I
the
want,
factory, I kept it basic. I took the earplugs, put them in the air thing, and shot them at people. I mean, I'd take the big layer sheets for pallets, and I'd fold them into a big ass paper airplane, shoot them on the whole line. You know, like
when in my early 20s, I was a roofer. Of course, I'm a musician, so I'm going to be doing contractor work my whole life. So we were roofing, and it was like a couple weeks in, and my foreman taught me how to hold the gun and hold the safety so I could shoot nails at my coworkers. Because every once in a while we'd play tag up on the roof with our nail guns. So it would sound like a freaking war going on. We're shooting
anybody ever
nails at
get
those.
Happy Gilmore?
No, but I got one in the shoulder once. I had to pull out of my shoulder. It got me pretty good. You know, they they don't stick very well into flesh. They hurt like a bitch, but they got to get you just that perfect way for them to actually, stick. They'll break skin. You have these little red dots over you, but we're usually shooting them from like 20, 30 feet away. You can see them going, so it's like tracer rounds. You can like, oh, got to come a little bit up and to the left.
Man, uh,
No, but I definitely have a problem with drum sets.
that's your fidget spinner.
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer that, and I've heard this from guitarists and bass players, especially when you're in bands like me that are in different genres of music. I'm in stuff from thrash metal to classic rock, right? And everything in between. And I have specific drum sets for those groups and for those styles of music. Like before I was in 20 bands, I would get, you know, the call like, hey, we got a gig Saturday. We need you to fill in. Here's the 30 tunes you need to know. Like, oh, they play rock stuff. I'm going to grab my rock kit. Or, oh, they're a prog metal band. I'm going to grab my prog metal kit. Or, they're doing top 40, so I'm just going to grab my regular four piece. Doing classic rock. I'm going to get my Bonham kit out. Every single drum set I have, whether it's the heads, how they're tuned, the pedals I use for that drum set, the way it's set up, um, makes me speak a different language. You know, um, Percussion is a language. There's some percussive instruments like timbales and tables and all that other stuff where your your notes and how you hit it's actually a syllable. It's tla or la or li. They actually have names, and you can actually have a conversation with them. You can create a story. From prehistoric times, you were using drums to have stories go from one generation to the next. Think of the Hawaiians and the Samoans with all their drums and the loha and the luau's and stuff like that. It's all the drums. It's in Africa, all the tribal drums. It's a story that they're passing on, and it's the same with modern drum kits. That it's a language. There's talking in your inside voice and then yelling. There's the emotion in your language. There's the emotion in how you play, whether it's a rim shot, straight center, high toms, low toms. You can, if you understand the language, you can really unlock the what you can write to a musical piece, right? And like one of the best I think that do it nowadays is Danny Carey. You know, what he does on the drums, he turns mundane, simple music into amazing thought pieces. You know, it's because he's adding all that language and all that context onto a droning guitar line that continues on for 30 some measures. You know, Danny Carey makes that band. You know, there's a lot of drummers where if you take the drummer out of it, the band is meh. You know, you put any other drummer in it, and it might be meh. And then you put that drummer in that band, it's like, oh, now I get what's supposed to be going on.
I want to
You
say
know?
you could even have a great drummer just in the wrong band.
Yeah,
It's like, dude, you are
yeah.
an awesome, flashy drummer, but we're here to pound. Like you
Well,
could
or
be
the
a
other way,
great drummer, just not a good fit.
or the other way around. You might be a pounding dude and don't get it, and you're doing that in an
Pause.
Elvis Presley tribute. You know,
Pause.
you know, yeah.
You said you
It,
could be a pounding dude. Pause.
but
No
yeah,
homo.
you know what I mean. You could be at the wrong gig. You know,
Pause.
but it's yeah. There's you definitely got to know where you're at and know your place and know how to play to the music and what the music wants. But there's also what the band is doing. You know, like you're saying, you know, you could be a band that takes hip hop and rap and R&B and turns it into hard rock metal tunes. You know, then you're not at the wrong gig. But if everybody else in the fucking band is playing it like the album and you're going at it like you're freaking in Seven Dust or in Slipknot, then you might be at the wrong gig. You know, but yeah, it's
I'd definitely like to see a band like Lorna Shore just come out dressed like Teletubbies.
it.
Nice background and everything, and all of a sudden, just fucking ominous music starts playing, and that drummer just sits back there all gracefully, just tearing people's throats out, just with playing like this, just like nothing's going on. Like, that
the
guy's
anti
insane.
the anti Guar.
Yeah, the drummer from Lorna Shore, that guy.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he can be so calm but so fast.
No, my favorite end of a night where I know I gave it my all and I got nothing left to give is when other musicians and fans come up to me asking me if I'm all right and if they can get me anything. You know, like I've just everything's gone. I'm not even sweating anymore. It's all gone. I'm losing the color of my skin and like, dude, you okay? You need
Right.
some water? I'm like, no, I'm fine. Just need a cigarette. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be good. You know, just let me catch back up. I'll be fine.
So, what would
But
you consider as one of the high points, actually the highest point of your time as a drummer?
oh, geez. Well, I've never done like super. I've never toured or anything like that. I just was never in the cards for me. Um, there's a lot of gigs that were special to me that your audience wouldn't see it that way or think it was as cool. Like, okay, whatever. That sounded like it was just a regular show. But like what happened during the show or what had to be overcome to have that show happen. Um, but when it comes to just like, yeah, that was probably a kick-ass show. Was most likely Summerfest, the old BMO classic rock stage before they tore it down and put the new one up. It was back in the same spot, but um, a lot more people fit in that area back then. And we opened up for Marshall Tucker, and it was 3,000 people, just jamming with us, just having a good old time. And then Marshall Tucker came on after us, and Marshall Tucker, half the band's on the side of the stage, watching us play, going, "Yeah, you guys are kicking it, keep going." It's like our time's done. Do another song.
Yeah, fuck it.
That was fun. And but the probably my favorite show because of what it meant to the scene was when I convinced Dave Daler after months of wearing him down and me sending mutual friends to him wearing him down because he did not believe heavy metal would go over well at Saloon on Calhoun. And I finally got him to give Master of Puppets a chance to have a show at Saloon on Calhoun on a shit day that nobody wanted. It was the Saturday after New Year's being in the middle of the week. Nobody wanted that date, right? So he's like, hey, look, here's the thing. Nobody wants this date. Take it or leave it. And I was like, I'll take it. I don't care. I'll show you that metal will be huge at Saloon Calhoun. And we put together a show, and the whole month and a half of promoting it, doing radio spots, podcasts, promoting the whole show, I was worried that nobody was going to show up, right? Master of Puppets would draw, but we had never played there, never played a venue at that point in our career of that size. We're filling 150, 200 seats, no problem, where it's hard to move around, but filling a place that can handle 400, 450, 500 people, it was going to be a tough nut. We had packed out Route 20 a number of times, so I knew we had a crowd, but to get them to come to Saloon on Calhoun, which was classic rock, country, that type of stuff. It was a step outside their norm. And the show started, doors open, people start piling in, opening act goes on, second band goes on, people are still piling in. We go on, I got a picture from when I walked up to my drums, took a picture, solid sea of people throughout the whole frickin' venue. We played our show like it was the last show we would ever do. Put all of it into it. There's a lot of cool recordings of that show I've seen, video recordings. And the best part about it was at the end of the night, I'm loading up my drums and I see Dave Daler, the owner of the bar, carrying out garbage bags of bottles with a smile from ear to ear because he doesn't have enough freaking people to deal with the amount of glass bottles were gone through to get them out to the garbage. And I saw him and I was like, so you think metal worked out? And he's like, yeah, yeah, it worked. Thanks. You will be back. I'm like, all right. I think Dave knows the exact number, but at the time, it was the second largest capacity show since their grand opening at that time. It was over 400 people paid to get through, and it was amazing,
Nice.
when you have that much anxiety going into a show. When you're in a local band and you're worried about packing a venue for the owner and for the promoter, as a local band, you're stuck in this purgatory of always being afraid that no one's going to show up to the show, or you just don't care and you're cool about it. But I'm always worried about it until like 15 minutes after the doors open. I'm like, okay, people showed up. Let's go back to doing what we were doing and getting ready for the show.
Right.
It's hard to detach myself from that anxiety. So for me, those memorable moments are those shows that there was a way more people there than like Dave would have been happy if 180 people showed up, and we almost tripled that. So it was cool.
What you got coming up here with these bands?
10 feet tall on February 17th will be at Q Club in Waukesha. The Sociables is March 9th at a Tribe Bar in Cudahy. And then the big one, my birthday, it's the 25th birthday extravaganza and puppet show. It's basically my 25th anniversary of not being an alcoholic anymore. That's on my birthday, March 16th at Polly's Pub. That's going to be Master Puppets, 10 feet tall, and then Six Pack Sammy is playing for me where I get myself shit faced.
I'm about to say, is that 25 years sober or is that 25 years on an alcoholic?
25 years of not being an alcoholic.
Hey, you know what? That
It,
still does deserve a round of applause because low key, it's a
it,
hard one
it,
to pull out of.
it started out being like the first 12, 15 years where it was alcohol free. I went from drinking a liter bottle of vodka every night, going to work next morning at 6:30, complete functional alcoholic, to just one day going, I do not want to be that guy, and just stop drinking. And then after like a decade of that, I was like, all right, I'm pretty confident I won't slip off the wagon. I'll let myself have the one night where I just, no rules. There's been some years I don't get that drunk. I'm just not feeling it, right? There's been some years I don't remember the show even happening. Just so blackout drunk. Um, but usually those years is when I have a third band to play so I don't have to. So I'm usually pretty drunk by the time we get on stage, drink during the show, and then now that I have a third band, I will continue drinking after we get done playing. So this is probably gonna be one of those. I see people in summer going, "Oh, your birthday show was freaking amazing!" Like you weren't even there. Like, yeah, it was. Here's the pictures of me and you. Here's some video. I'm like, oh, I guess you were there.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's my birthday party's pretty cool. Paulie's had me been hosting my birthday party now for almost a decade.
Oh,
We've been having it there. Hey, I'm a St. Patty's baby. I gotta have it, at Paulie's. It's my home base of operations for a lot of my bands. Um, and we just have a great time. It's basically mistakes will happen. We will all laugh. We will all have a great time. There will be cake. There must be cake. It's a birthday party. I would rather have it at Paulie's than at my place because Paulie's can fit more friends and I don't have to clean up the next morning. So
you're gonna make it
it's
like the letter Kenny, like the super soft birthday party where they got like ponies and like pink hats and stuff.
no, but I usually dress up. But I by the end of the night, I look like the embarrassed leprechaun, where I'm just all beat red from being drunk and got my hat, my green bow tie, and I got my lucky Irish T-shirt. It's fun. It's one of those where the only reason why I allow myself to drink that much, you can go on. If anyone wants to check out my stuff on Facebook, it's just Benny Boswell official artist page. They can just go to that. It's got links to all my socials, my YouTube channel. Um, there's so many videos of me performing live. And if you look at any that are posted towards the end of March of any given year, it's probably from the birthday show. Travis Steffen's done a lot of videos from my birthday show. If you watch me play, you would not think I was drunk. It's all muscle memory. You know, I I had one show a number of years ago with Sociables where by the time we from the time we got finished setting up and did sound check, an hour had gone by towards our first note on stage. I had already had 19 shots of vodka by then, and God knows how many double mixers of vodka orange juice. I remember walking up to the stage. I remember sitting down on my drum throne, looking at my guitarist, asking him what the first song was, because we don't have a set list in Sociables. It's all fly by the seat of our pants. Asking what the first song was. No idea what that first song was. The next thing I remember is somebody telling me that everyone's ready to go, and I'm like, "What?" And there used to be a smoking room at yesteryears, which is now Crawdaddy's. So I walked out of the smoking room, walked towards the stage. Everything is gone. you got to remember, to me, it feels like that. It went from me being on stage to me sitting in the smoke room with a cigarette in my hand, right? Walk out, the stage is completely struck. No drums, no keyboards, no PA, nothing. It's all gone. And I walk up to my bass player. My bass player turns around, hands me $300 and go, "Great show, man, great show." I'm like, okay.
Like, didn't even
I
know.
I we had a gig the next week, and I went up to every single guy as they came in from the band and my roadies, and I like apologized for how drunk I got the week before. And they're like, "You were drunk?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I don't even remember playing." He's like, "You didn't make one mistake all night. You were there on every single song." And I'm like, "Gotta love muscle memory, man."
Right, but they would have at least known, like, as soon as like you get up to get from behind the drums and you're like stumbling, it's like, okay, there it is.
I don't
Yeah.
think they realized I was blackout drunk. Luckily for me, the demon that possesses my soul when I'm blackout drunk has got some sick ass double bass drum kicks. Luckily, he can play. I literally the last thing, and I'll shut the fuck up and let you go. It was in when you're in school, you're in band, you got this thing called solo ensemble,
Yep.
right? Where it's you're either by yourself or with like a jazz group or a trio or whatever, or the percussion group or clarinet group, right? And I was pretty hardcore with it. I did it was like 20 some solos throughout my high school career in the 4 years. I got 1 stars on all of them. They were all level 5 grade solos, the hardest solos you can do. And the 1 year I was trying to break the school record of how many solos in 1 year. I had 9 solos, and which is easy on drums because I had a snare drum solo, I had a marching drum solo, I had a drum set solo, I had a jazz combo solo, a marimba solo, a xylophone solo, a timpani solo. Just every single thing that you can have a solo for as a drummer. I had a level 5 solo, class A solo that I needed to do, right? This was also my senior year. I had also already began drinking, smoking pot, doing mushrooms, all the other stuff. So I had partied all night the night before the solo ensemble competition day, which was at my school that year on a Saturday. So I went into it not having any sleep, not doing any rehearsal. I didn't practice any of this crap for weeks, right? And the one thing that always impressed the judges when I did solos, everyone would sit there at the music stand, put the sheet music up, and play the sheet music. I would make it this big, huge theatrical thing where I would walk up after the person that I just, you don't sit there and watch anyone. You wait outside. And then they let you in, you come in, it's just you and the judges, right? I would come up, I would see the music stand, I would put my sticks down, grab the music stand, move it completely out of my way, and go behind the drums or behind the snare or whatever I'm doing. And the judges be like, "Are you actually going to play this from memory?" I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Good luck," because these are hard solos. And I play these songs all from memory, right? Instead of looking at the sheet music. And even that's one thing. The fact that I got perfect scores, I think, is what helped. The impressing the judge that I did it from memory. So any few mistakes that I did do, he would still give me a perfect score, right? So I got perfect scores throughout high school on all my solos. The One of the last songs I did was a snare drum solo, marching drum solo. It was called Speed something, I think Speed King or something like that. Um, it's a short drum solo, right? It's literally 2 pages, right? You open up the thing, it's 2 pages. It looks like solid black when you look at the sheet music. It's so many freaking notes, right? And it's hard. It's turning your stick over, doing all the weird marching drum stuff, right? I did it from not only did I do it from memory and get a perfect score, I fell asleep 2 measures into it. And I started it, closed my eyes because I would play from memory with my eyes closed, right? Because then I could see the sheet music in my head. So I'm sitting there, I'm playing with my eyes closed, and then I became conscious again. I'm not playing anymore, and the judges are standing up clapping, and I'm like, I literally just played the hardest marching drum solo offered in my sleep. That's what happens when you practice something like 500 freaking times and
Yeah,
you just let yourself play and you don't let your brain take part.
yeah,
You know, that if that's the one thing I could tell any future drummers out there to watch this or any musicians, the importance of practicing. Practice something not until you get it right, but until you can't play it wrong, no matter how hard you try. That way you can get this completely out of the formula when you perform the piece.
yes,
Because if you can allow it just be from here and you're not thinking, you'll people will watch you play and listen to you play and be in awe
yep.
because your
Practice does
brain is
not make
slow.
perfect. Practice makes permanent. How you practice is
Yep.
how you perform. If you're gonna practice like shit, you're going to perform like shit. Oh man, I'll get that right. No, the fuck you won't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you're lucky.
uh,
You know
yeah,
and that's why I think because I practice my stuff in all my bands so freaking much why I can perform it drunk. You know,
yeah.
it's
I'll be blackout standing there next to my guy, like, bro, I don't even know if I can fucking do this show, bro. I am so fucked up right now. And then as soon as we hit the stage, it's that other person takes over, and then I get
yeah.
off the stage, and I'm all like, damn it, did we perform? I missed it.
It happens. It happens, man. No, but uh, come up to me next time that you're out and about when I'm out and about. You know, let's meet in person.
Yeah.
You know, you're a cool cat.
Awesome, man. Thanks to hear.
I won't bite your head off. Don't
All right. Well, in the meantime, you guys know where to find him and Benny Boswell at official on everything. You can find all of his bands through there, I'm sure as well. All the links to your bands and the bios from that page.
worry. Yep.
Awesome. Then yeah. In the meantime, until next time, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, name it after me.